Checkbook's not.
There was a mistake in it.
We're all human beings. Is that right, Sam?
Job security.
Well, they can put the seal on it.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see it. Chad, you gotta put the indentation on here too. I'll remind you.
Where do I start? I guess on slide 1. So here's our brand new logo, Capital Region Land Bank. That is our DBA. Just filed the Capital Region Land Bank. It's less easy to say than the Land Reutilization Corporation of the Capital Region. I just pulled a little bit out of our mission and vision statement. I mean, the land bank is here to remove blighting influences such as condemned, burned out buildings. And also to work cross-regionally. We are, Amsterdam is a partner of the county, the city, to work on enforcement of property maintenance standards and work on affordable housing and foster commercial activity. When we started, we had very little money, and it was the decision of the board to focus on Eastern Avenue. Eastern Avenue is a corridor that connects some great assets downtown, great neighborhoods, Niskayuna, Upper Union Street, and we thought it was of a manageable size with enough strong assets that we could focus the money we had there and make a difference. Let's see. We met many times with the neighborhood organization up there. We've met with many neighborhoods, but we specifically met many times with Eastern Avenue. And this map just shows the corridor, and all those colors there are issued housing with issues, either American tax funding liens or city-owned properties or things that were in foreclosure or vacant properties. And we felt there was a strong enough area there in Eastern Avenue that we could make a significant difference along the corridor visibly and also in the neighborhood. And we partnered with Metroplex and the City Council also with the Urban Renewal Agency signed a memorandum of understanding. And we started focusing our efforts on Eastern Avenue. The land bank put $60,000 in. Metroplex put $100,000 in that has been for commercial revitalization, facade enhancement. The IDA came up with $250,000, which has been used for those demolitions that you've seen happen right now. There's a little bit more money left to do some more. And you here with the City of Schenectady gave the access to the distressed properties. We have the inventory of housing and agreed to the future tax revenue sharing with a 5-year 50% tax after we put it back on the property rolls. And of course, staff support, myself and Matt, and Schenectady County put in $100,000 part of the tax agreement, sales tax agreement, and that $60,000 up at the top is part of that $100,000 down at the bottom. So that's where the land bank got their money from. And these are just 5 of the properties, 5 of the 7 targeted for demolition. 5 are already down. The top right one, Latimer's, the one below it, which was next to Amy Schaefer's. The bar second in from the left. The other 2 had some issues which should come down shortly. And there were 821 Eastern next to Brass Furniture and 870, which was also next to Latimer's. So we've already done some demolitions underway there. And this is a before and after picture. It unfortunately doesn't show as well as it should, but this is the area where there are 3 vacant lots now on Eastern Avenue. So the land bank purchased the property on the left, and that was about to be renovated into a substandard 3-family house. And we saw the opportunity with a number of properties there to buy that and demolish it, as well as Latimer's Tavern, and there's a vacant lot to the right. You can see below, and it's not a very good shot, or it doesn't show very well. It was a good shot. But the cleared property, and we planted some trees there last week to at least clean it up a little bit, make it look better. And this is where we're going. And actually, if you can see over way in the bottom right, there's a little red square, and you can see we picked that area because it does back up to Vale Park. And there might be an opportunity to make some kind of connection there. The comprehensive plan talked about creating an access out onto Eastern Avenue or creating an access from the neighborhood into Vale Park. And there are, as people say, many connections already, but they're all buried at the end of dead-end streets, or they go through the cemetery. And this is something we thought would be a good visible change on Eastern Avenue. And we are starting, we're going to have our visioning meeting with the neighborhood. So everybody's welcome to come. We've talked with Eastern Avenue neighborhood about this. We'll get the announcements out this week. It will be a 2-day charrette, Thursday, November 13th, and then Tuesday, November 18th. We're getting a sign that will be up on that site in a couple days as well. Yeah,
We got the approval from the school district.
Mr. Kosiur got me Elmer Avenue School, so we're going to be in there for 2 nights. And we're looking to see what the neighborhood's ideas are for this. And they've been pretty excited about doing something here. So what it's going to be, we're not sure yet. We're going to let them decide. It's going to be owned by the land bank and managed by the land bank. And St. Mary's Complex, the House of Angels, Sandra Bardine, she purchased the church on the left, and you can see on the right the work she's done on the inside of it already. She's got hundreds of thousands of dollars into that building alone, and more than that, working, doing some roof repair on the school as well. And she's basically making an artist's live-work center there. She's pulling the concepts together. But based on that, we've had a lot of people already start contacting us about using other spaces for similar things. And I think this will be a really nice centerpiece for the Eastern Avenue neighborhood. And so that's underway. The convent in the middle, or the rectory in the middle rather, is in foreclosure by the city. That was one of the ATF liens we negotiated with the school. So that will be coming to the city, to the land bank for your resolution, and probably made available to her and to that project. And this was by resolution, the council resolution. So we put our application together. We basically, we asked for properties in the Eastern Avenue neighborhood, and here are 19 that were either city-owned or in foreclosure. That by resolution, the council said we will convey to the land bank these properties, but not limited to these. So there's 19, and this shows up pretty bad too, but there's 9 in red, and those 9 in red are the ones that actually got taken. So we're going to need some more properties as well to do this application. And there certainly is opportunity up there with vacant buildings, and this is a 2-year grant. So we'll have opportunity there, but we are going to need some more properties. I think as I interrupt myself. Okay.
Steve,
Yes.
the one that's second to the bottom in red, what street is that?
909 Wendell Avenue.
Okay, that's what I
And
thought.
that's actually,
Wendell.
it's right next to the firehouse, the old firehouse on the corner of Wendell and Eastern Avenue.
Okay, all
So
right.
it's
It's the first house in on
Okay.
the other side.
I was thinking
Going
a
on
little
the
bit
left.
further down on Wendell, so, okay.
Just right
And
on the
actually,
left.
yeah, and actually, the city did not take that one yet because there's, we're looking with the city, because I am the city, with the 108 loans to how to use that money best. And there may be opportunities where instead of the land bank using money to demolish something on Eastern Avenue, it might make more sense for the 108 loan to demolish it and we do a demolition somewhere else just because we have different requirements on what we can do. But some of them were not taken yet because we wanted to wait to get title until the loan was approved. So we're doing that now, and that's 909 is one of them. But we will get title to it.
You can see that's in red, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. Wow.
So the grant is a 2-year grant, and we wanted to make a statement in Eastern Avenue and show the Attorney General what was happening there so that we could have a nice, strong application. And I think we did that based on the fact that we got the highest award of anybody in the state. We got $3 million, which is what we asked for. So that's a 2-year grant. We have $250,000 towards program management because you need people managing the property. Well, it's $125,000 a year. It's land bank money, so it'll be paid for consultants and some staff to to hit the ground running to make sure these projects move forward and to make sure everything's managed properly. $200,000 goes to Schenectady County, which will be primarily earmarked for Rotterdam Junction area where the flooding occurred. And then that left $2.55 million, which we prorated to Amsterdam and Schenectady based on population. So Amsterdam has $550,000 that will be used for a few demolitions and mostly renovations with them working with Municipal Housing Authority in Amsterdam, leaving $2 million and change in the city of Schenectady, or might be $2 million minus change, it's right around there, of which in the application we said $1.5 million for Eastern Avenue, which is 28 demolitions and a number of renovations as well, and then $500,000 for strategic acquisition and demolition elsewhere. And when we put the application together, we use a lot of leveraging. We talked about the 108 loan fund, so between these two programs, it's a demolition of about 128 properties, and using the home funding basically strategically located in support of our programs. You know, that wasn't an absolute commitment, but we talked about the fact that as opportunities became available in Eastern Avenue, that might be something that would be considered. So that's basically how the money gets split. It's a 2-year, it starts January 1st, and then we're trying right now, we're gearing up to hit the ground running on that. So obviously we'll be coordinating with the 108 loan to make sure we have the maximum efficiencies, and I'm working with Jackie on that and everybody else in City Hall to make sure we're not duplicating efforts and that we're being as efficient as possible, as well as coordinating with the homes program, property management, federal funding. We've got all these different moving pieces, so we're making sure that the land bank's not doing one thing while City Hall's doing another thing. We want to make sure we're on the Mayor's Homes program and everything else that's going on here. We are, as I said before, in November, we're going to start the Eastern Avenue, that entrance or that park, like green space design on Eastern Avenue. And hopefully we get that done quick enough. We're working, we've hired a consultant, which is Place Alliance, which is a locally, well, it's a national company, but there's a local chapter here that's Mary Moore Wallinger, who you all know, who works with the Green Market as well as the Central Park Rose Garden design. So she's working with us to develop that project. And then next year we'll probably do an implementation piece of that, probably about $100,000 to do some of that there. And now we are looking at the dispositions along Eastern Avenue, which is really the whole Eastern Avenue corridor. So we're looking at the properties that go back on Prospect Street and all the other streets around there, the ones that the city has given to us to decide what is the best thing to do with them. And we're looking at some other options that are out there to see what other properties either we can acquire or might be able to come in the next year or two, either through code enforcement or through future foreclosures. So we're just trying to make sure we have our pipeline, and there easily are 6 or 7 demolitions that could start, and these are on top of the 7 that have already occurred as early as next year. And then we also have the opportunity to do either infill housing or new construction or renovations in the area. Those are also things we're looking at. And we've met with Habitat and BNI and Community Land Trust and Northeast Parent Child, or Northern Rivers they are now, to identify the opportunities there and get them all involved and do as much as we can with them. And private developers as well. I mean, we have a $25,000 facade grant that we've been doing. One house has been done so far with that on Eastern Avenue. You know, that's a residential facade program just so we can spruce things up a little bit. We're the only land bank doing that. And that's basically, I can't give you details of specific properties yet. We're still working through that, but basically, you know, up to 28 houses in that neighborhood, and if there aren't 28 to do, the other, if I go back a slide, we had $500,000 for strategic acquisition and demolition elsewhere. So we want to focus this in Eastern Avenue. We want to focus it in one neighborhood because there will be more money coming. And we want to make sure that we can show that we did something good. If we just took all this money and smattered it all over the place, I think showing our results would be a lot harder to do than if we focus it. I know that with the money that the Attorney General got with the bank settlements, that is now part of the state fund now, and I'm sure we will start seeing that come out over the next couple of years for demolition and urban revitalization projects.
Questions? Yeah, Steve, on the next slide, in terms of the timeline, number 3 and 4, is that really 2014 that you're talking about that's starting to happen? Or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Everything there is 2014. Except
so 3 and 4 this year.
3 and 4 this year.
Okay.
The demolitions are 15,
Okay.
and agreements, that's anything that happens will be in 15.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, no, just wanted to clarify to make sure. In terms of, you said that you really, there's no plan yet, and you're working with the neighborhood, so there's no, like, I don't know, global plan after the demolition and what's going to happen after that? You said you're meeting with the neighborhood to see how that should happen?
Well, we keep them informed of, we've been talking with them about the properties that they'd like to see demolished and what we'd like to see demolished. So, I mean, I think a lot of it will be the same issues we have everywhere else. After you demolish a property, what can you do with it if it's standalone in the back? You know, it's a side lot program for the neighbor next door. If you have 2 lots, do you do a community garden? So yeah, we are working with them still on that. And we will continue to meet with them. What I talked about work with neighbors, that was the veil or the green space piece. But yes, we will continue to meet with them and run them through our ideas. Plus, we have a property disposition committee that was that appointed through here? I think it was. So we have a group that meets regularly to talk about properties and opportunities.
I have another question. You talked about the $25,000 facade grant that was for residential. So, I mean, is that something that people can apply for? How does that work?
It is something people can apply for.
Through?
Through the land bank. It should be right on our website, which is part of the city's website right now. We are developing our own standalone website, which will have on it also properties. We have properties software so people can see the properties that we have, and we're looking at maybe potentially working with the city on that as well. So that should be up and running probably around January, the website.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yep. And again, Steve, congratulations on all the work the group has been doing. I mean, it's really moving far and quickly too, and we appreciate all the grants that the city and the county and the partnerships. Talking about Northeast, is that the youth build program that we're talking about? The partnership with Northeast?
Yes.
Where the youth build, youth would work within the homes?
And they can do, I think, one property per year, so we're looking at that.
Okay, that's great. And then the St. Mary's Church, if you guys haven't been in, you really have to go take a walk in there. They're working on it all the time. It's just, it's magnificent inside. You almost want to kneel down and look for the holy water again. It's really that beautiful in there. It's just incredible. So again, good job to the entire.
Yeah, they must have like $500,000 into those 2 properties.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I do have another question. In terms of, now that the funding's in place, will there be additional staff hired to work on this? Will this just be the city staff, or will there be?
Well, we're still working that and trying to have that hopefully in place within the next week or 2, but it will be land bank staff probably me still continuing to work as a city employee, putting some time on that, and then hiring probably either a project manager or a staff person to help property. There's a lot of stuff. So we're putting that together, but we want to be ready to go pretty quick.
Oh. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good news. All right. Okay, second item is calling for a public hearing regarding the sale of tobacco products. Where do you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah. I'm finding all my stuff here.
Yeah, well, I'll just start while Rachel's looking. So the next 3 items are all piece of this convenience store auditorium.
Yeah.
And so it ended up coming in as 3 separate parts.
Yeah.
So it's all yours.
So the change to the piece in good order with the sale of tobacco products, essentially there's going to be no tobacco products sold within 1,000 feet of the school. Anything that's already in place would be grandfathered in. But essentially, we're trying not to essentially sell tobacco products within 1,000 feet of the school. There's also going to be no advertisement of either availability or price of tobacco products from any retail establishment, so no more of the signs, unless it's a tobacco shop. So if it's a cigar shop or something like that, which we had defined, essentially where you're receiving 65% or more of its annual gross revenue in tobacco products, they're automatically exempt. So we're calling for a public
Mr.
hearing on
Kosiur.
that.
Yeah, no, just public hearing. Just one question regarding that. You said the existing store is going to be exempt. Let's say, which happens quite often, a store is sold or turned over to somebody else. Does that then fall under the new piece where they cannot no longer sell
That's right.
tobacco products within that 1,000 feet then, correct?
That's right. They
Very good.
apply for a new certificate
Change
of
of
use.
tenancy.
Yep,
That's all, make sure. Very good.
Family members also.
that's right.
And this is only within, near a school,
No
public or
tobacco-
private?
No tobacco products sold near 1,000 feet from school, but no advertisement of tobacco products at all,
In
anywhere.
any of the stores.
So no.
So that's not grandfathered in? So
That's right.
The
That's-
advertisement
they're
has to go?
gone. That's right.
Okay.
Good.
Unless it's a tobacco shop, so unless it's a cigar shop or something that is only 65% or more as revenue is tobacco products, then they could have the sign. So specialty shops, stuff like that, could still advertise. But yeah, yeah.
The camel,
Yes.
the camel is
It's about
gone.
time.
A good percentage of those signs are illegal anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Already.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to call for the public hearing. Okay, Ms. Porterfield, I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Okay, the second part of that deals with convenience stores and secondhand cell phone stores.
So essentially trying to update the definition in the zoning code to, for a convenience store and secondhand cell phone store. What's happening is some people have found a loophole in the convenience store code, basically saying that if it's 10% or less of the items sold are food, then essentially the convenience store legislation isn't applicable. So what people are doing is having electronic stores, small cell phone stores, so trying to branch out and includes convenience stores and secondhand cell phone stores. So that would kind of cover some of the businesses that are just selling used electronics, which many times is stolen goods. So we have that defined. Convenience store is a small retail store typically selling convenience items, staple groceries and snacks. Secondhand cell phone store is a retail store, derives majority of revenue from used cell phone and or reloadable cell phones. And we tried to draw a distinction here between those carriers that are an actual franchise and those that are just selling reloadable cell phones. Then calling to amend the code with respect to the nuisance legislation to just add, there were a few violations that are constantly tagged that they don't have a point value. So essentially, convenience store can be closed down if a certain number of points are collected in a given time. We wanted to add cleaning litter from the property daily. If that's not done, it'd be 3 points. 3 points for failure to comply with planning commission site plan approval or special use permit. Any violation under the Uniform Commercial Code. There's a lot of places are selling goods from Price Chopper, kind of reselling them, so that would be a violation. That'd be a 3-point violation. And then any other violation in the city code. Again, in the nuisance, we would just use the same definition for convenience store and cell phone store. In section 183.5, certificate of use is going to be required for convenience store or secondhand cell phone store. The issuance of a certificate, essentially, just wanted to add in Part D there that a certificate of use based on falsification of documents is invalid on its face. So essentially, if there's false information provided and a certificate of use is given, and we figure that, eventually that comes to light, then essentially it's the same as operating illegally, excuse me. And then adding in I at the bottom, all certificates of use will have an expiration date of 1 year. What's happening is some of them have no expiration date. So it's very hard to take away a certificate of use that never expires. And what they're doing is transferring the license from family members and things like that because it never expires. So we just want to say that they're going to expire 1 year from the adoption of this if it's passed. Then operation of businesses, no operator will allow 20% of its window area or more to be covered with signs, advertising, racks, displays. This is more of a public safety.
Okay, where are you at? You're really flying through all
Oh, I'm
this.
sorry.
And this is all good stuff. Is there any way we can ask questions as you're going along?
Yeah, go
instead
ahead.
of-
Sorry,
instead
I'm
of-
just trying to go through it and then.
Well, you know what, I mean, this is stuff that I think we've been waiting for a long time, right? I mean,
Yeah. So You want to go back to?
Yeah, if we
Flip the next
can.
page to where she is now.
Yeah, where are you now? This
Flip
one.
that page. Flip it. It's on the back of that.
So, and is anywhere in here talking about the hours of the convenience
Yeah,
stores?
right
So that's
after that.
further
It's
down.
It's on the next page.
It's
Okay.
coming.
All right, so that's coming. And then back to the points, how many points are necessary before we are able to close a store down?
It's 12.
So that's not in here anywhere, right?
It is above
So-
that. I didn't copy the whole code, but it's in there.
Oh, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so these are just areas that we're making changes.
That's right.
For the
Those are
most
just the
part.
changes. It's
Okay,
12
because that's
and
why
one-
it's a little trouble following it, because I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're missing this and this and this.
I apologize.
Okay, all right. And this is all on the website now anyway, correct?
Yes.
So I can
Well,
refer to that.
this new draft is-
Not the new draft, but the current, that's what I'm saying, so I can review the current on the website to look to the change
Again, this
or
is the
underline.
call for the public hearing, we'll throw it out.
Understood.
Yeah, we can only
People's
see.
review, and
Yeah, this was just.
Oh.
maybe fine tuned a little bit
Yep.
for the final adoption.
And then issuance and certificates, do they have to come here in person, or do we go to the site? How does that?
They have to come in and apply. So anytime that there's a change in tenancy, a new certificate should be applied for down here.
And then what does that take? I mean, do we actually do a visible inspection
Yes.
of the store as
Yes,
well?
there's an inspection. Steve, you can speak to this a little bit, but I know we do background check, correct?
We do a
Should be.
background check, yes.
Yeah.
Christine handles most of that, the codes department and planning. I mean, when they get together when there's an application, they do a very thorough investigation of who's there, trying to figure out who exactly the application is. A lot of times we get applicants who are not really the applicants.
Mhm.
So it's a tedious job doing the investigation, but we do a pretty good job on that.
Right, so are we able to communicate via some document on our, within City Hall internally, that we could see if there's any code violation or anything outstanding that when we are reapplying, so that there aren't any current
Yeah.
violations?
Well, we're
So I mean,
trying-
are two departments being able to talk, so we are able to?
We've
get all
got
that
three, I
together?
mean, we've got three departments, meeting, planning, and law, and codes.
Right.
And I mean, I know they have regular meetings to go over some of the bigger issues. And
Yeah.
believe me, when we have one we're not sure of, we're all talking to each
Yeah.
other about it.
The cell phone thing is incredible, because we were just on Becker Street over the weekend, walking, obviously, and there are 3 stores that are little convenience stores and cell phone stores, 2 on one side of the street, 1 directly across, and it's incredible. How can these 3 little stores be
There's a lot of
doing what, and that's exactly what's happening. A lot of activity walking in and out of all 3 of those stores, and that was Sunday afternoon.
And I should add in the police department too. They're
Yeah.
obviously with us on this.
That's
Yeah, the
key.
police department's been
Working on this.
trying to draft these changes. These are
Very good.
things, you know, with the litter and stuff like that, that they had asked for
Great.
with the points, because that's something that, just cleaning, having the property be clean is something, you know, that they're really committed to,
Great.
trying to get the garbage out of there.
Okay.
Is this somewhere here that you can add, the renewal of the certificate is subject to passing the inspection?
Yeah, so
Is it
every,
somewhere?
yep, to get a certificate, to go, every time you have to have it re-inspected, correct, Steve? Every time you're applying? Yeah, for your reissuance.
So that's in there.
So back to the operation of
Okay.
business.
Yes.
No more than 20% of the window area should be covered with signs. In any district that's zoned residential, hours of operation shall be limited to those between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. Okay, so that's some of the problem areas covered there.
Very good.
A certificate of use shall expire 1 year after the date of issuance. All certificates of use that were issued prior to the effective date hereof shall expire 1 year after said effective date. They're trying to get all those in compliance with the 1 year mark. And then below that, expiration of certificates, it used to say certificates of use shall remain in effect as long as the certificate holder operates the same type of business. We want to basically take that out of the code and say certificates of use are valid for a term of 1 year. All certificates of use that were issued prior, again, shall expire 1 year after a set effective date. And then penalties, just wanted to add in the bottom, if you're found operating without a certificate of use, may be unable to apply for a certificate of use up to 1 year. So that's going to be up to discretion. You know, there's people, there's a hearing officer in place, supposed to be, you know what I mean? So we just want to get this program going.
Yeah.
So, you know, to make the code a little bit easier on our end.
Guys are in what the mayor's been doing
Yeah.
for over a year and a half now with the stuff. Like I said, I drove with you guys. That for 2 days. It was incredible, the stuff that we saw there.
Yeah,
So
a lot of,
Yeah, very good.
they're very busy, I don't know. It's very busy.
He knows me in the department to do this, right? Yeah, very busy, is right.
Okay, any other questions?
No, it's very good.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then to call for a public hearing. Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
And item number 4 is calling for a public hearing regarding the DSAD 2015 budget. And if you look at the notes in your packet, basically there's a budget timeline there. So Monday, November 3rd, we're asking to move it to call for the public hearing. Then we'll call for the public hearing Monday, November 10th. The budget will be presented at the City Council meeting on November 17th. The public hearing will be November 24th, and Monday, December 8th, we'll vote on it. And I know Colleen is here, so if you have any questions for her about this.
Or you could just ask me to block for you.
That's right.
Oh, nice pitch.
Segue right there.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so then I'll entertain a motion to call for public hearing. Okay, second, all in favor? Aye. Right. Now we have 2 ceremonial resolutions, one for Veterans Day, Mr. Riggi proposed, and Porterfield, will you call for the public hearing on that?
No.
Or not the public hearing, but call for the ceremonial resolution for
Second.
Veterans Day?
Don't let that one get out.
No. Right. I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. And a second ceremonial resolution for the Great American Smokeout from Mr. Kosiur. I'll move it. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Nothing else to come before City Development and Planning. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, second. All in favor? Aye. All right. That's on Government Ops.
Lisa is chair.
Okay. Mr. Kosiur, you want to chair Government Ops?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. And we'll call government operations to order. We have one item here. It's the agreement between the City of Schenectady and CSEA, Local 1000
Closed in your packet is the memorandum of understanding the agreement. There's no pay raises in 11, 12. There's 4 years there of incremental raises. And the big shift is move over to the one health insurance package. There are also some agreements that correct some, there were typos in the existing agreement that probably wouldn't have to have city council approval, but make it correct.
Any questions?
So that was a question. So for 2014, 15, and 16, there will be 2% increase, but it will be phase 1.75 stagger.
Correct.
And obviously, the pertinent question, this has been allocated in our budget for 15, correct?
So with 14 and 15, again with healthcare coverage and then some unallocated
We're covered.
money.
Very good. Any other questions? And do we have to do anything with it? Do we have to move this? All right. Do we have someone make the motion?
Yes.
John?
I'd like to move.
And I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
And we're all right. Anything else to come before government operations? If not, motion to adjourn.
Just the process,
sorry.
when you would approve it next Monday night, then they would actually retype the contract. Final contract would come back for signature and we'd get a copy of it. This is just, everything else remains in place with the exception of what's detailed here.
Here in the contract.
Again, when I was looking at it just a little while ago, there's a couple spots where I thought there were technical corrections, there were typos or spelling errors will also be addressed.
Okay, very good. Motion adjourned. John?
Move.
I'll second.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're closed.
Okay, call to order public service and utilities. There are 2 items on the agenda. Mr. Wallin? The first is the award contract for chiller tower at SPD.
Good evening. The first one we have in front of us, like we hear, is the award for a chiller tower at the Schenectady Police Department. As you can see, we received 4 bids for the work. Spec was put together by our consultant, Main Engineering. The bids that we received, we did have one apparent low bid of $62,682. We did then ask ME Engineering to validate that, as it was exceptionally lower than the second and third bids.
Right.
They contacted both the low and the second low bidder. They found out the low bidder was using a approved product. These are, once again, we have a spec and we have an as-equal product. Called the references. I was able to get a letter of recommendation. I made copies if anybody wants it. Didn't have time to make it into the packet, but that is their letter of recommendation that they did do their due diligence on behalf of the city and called the appropriate references. And based off of their recommendation and the bid price, I would say that we move forward with the work. It is not it's a chiller tower, so we have a little bit of
We don't need the chiller today.
We don't.
Right.
So we don't.
It's going to chill.
Are there any questions?
Have we ever worked with this, I'm sorry, I was reading and talking. Have we ever worked with this company before?
To my knowledge, we haven't, but up until this point, I haven't worked much with mechanical contractors.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Riggi, did you have a question?
No, I was going to move.
Okay. So entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
All right. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the award contract for plowing for 2014-16, Mr. Wallin. Oh, hold on one second.
Well, he's, yeah,
Public
you have to
service.
second it.
You have to
That's not
second
on
it.
this.
Lisa.
That's not on the committee? Oh,
Why am I seconding it?
It's Lisa.
Yeah, where are you? Oh, I'll second.
Still good, man.
All those in favor? Aye.
Oh, public safety.
Well, I move it anyway. The number of times we've changed committees this
Public
year.
safety.
Mr. Wallin?
yeah. So this is an annual contract that we put out for support plowing services for the city of Schenectady for specific routes. As you see on there, we have, I believe it's 24 routes in the city of Schenectady. This is for 8 routes in the city. It's an annual contract we've been putting out for a while. The low bid was Carver Construction at $24,080 per route. Mobilization allowance was set by the city, so that number was the same. Not too much to this bid. If we need it, we call.
How many bids did we get?
We got 2.
We only got,
2 bids.
2 bids.
Carver and Peter. Right here on the sheet.
on the bidders list, we had 4, but only 2 on the very back. On the bidders list, we had 4, and then one said they changed their mind, and then out of those,
Well, yeah, but it's pretty typical that we
I'm
have
sorry?
a lot, it's typical that we have more that sign out than
Okay.
actually turn in. This is a unique service, because it requires equipment, that a lot of people don't have, because some of it is very large. In addition to this, they are also on call for letting us rent, so to speak, 10-wheel dump trucks and front-end loaders for removal if we do get heavy snow. So that is another part of that.
From them.
questions? Mr. Kosiur?
Thank you. So where are these numbers in comparison to last year? And are we within our budget that we got for 15 with these numbers? Unfortunately, it's hit or miss, but
These numbers are up from last year, I believe, about roughly 10%. I believe last year's numbers, it was $21.80 per route.
20, and they went to 20.
One of the differences that we did make are we removed a bid line from the bid spec to the front, which is the service of providing the dump trucks. We named the price based off of historical, whereas in the previous year they bid that. So that could be a reason for it. But the price is within range, and the second bid is kind of right there as well. I don't think there's any loading going on there.
And then the mobilization on, that's the same as last year too, or did we up that?
Mobilization, that's the same.
That's the same. So, and then one final, the routes, the 1, 5, 6, 9, 10, are those routes available somewhere that we can see what streets that encompasses?
Of course.
I'm just interested. So in other words, I'm just picking Route 5 might be Woodlawn. I mean, and then this group would come to the Woodlawn neighborhood instead of the city plows, is that correct? Is that what we're
Well, I
saying?
believe
Only
so.
on a big storm I'm talking
No,
about.
I believe, like, for example, when I have to get the route maps, one of these routes, I believe, is my neighborhood over by Central Parkway. And the reason for that is that they use front-end loaders for that due to the islands. We do not have front-end loaders of this size,
To get
so
on stuff.
they use front-end loaders for that particular route. But I can't comment on this. This is the first year this is coming through my office like this.
Okay.
But we do have the route maps if you like them.
Yeah, I mean, once it's smooth, like next week.
Sure. Next week.
Yeah.
Boston got it, huh? You see all that? All right, very good. Thank you.
Mayor, you were going
Routes haven't changed, though, that's small.
No, the routes have not get those routes out to you. You ought to have that anyhow, so you
It
can
needs to be
just get a
interesting to
general
look at.
feel
Yeah.
where they are and what the numbers are.
Are there any other questions? Okay, not you.
Not again.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. Anything else to come before public service and utilities? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Thank you, Mr. Wallin.
Thank you. My apologies, man.
Call to order
Give him that
claims,
list, please.
motion to go into executive session.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.